Welcome back. Today is Sunday, January 17th, and on this post, I'll be telling you about the overall crypto markets, which includes Bitcoin dominance and Bitcoin price action, before diving into Litecoin and Stellar, LTC, and XLMUSD, and see what exactly are going on in these two markets. I'll be telling you about the bullish and bearish case scenarios for today, for these markets, as well as the short-term price prediction, according to what I'm seeing on the charts. Before I begin today, if you guys are watching me on YouTube, do subscribe. If you guys are watching me on TradingView, do follow me, as I'll be keeping you updated on the latest crypto setups on my watch list, regardless if it's a good day or a bad day. If you guys do want to support me and don't already have a Webull brokerage account, you guys can use my referral link down below. They're still giving away 4 free stocks upon a successful sign-up and qualifying deposit of $100 USD, and I will also receive a referral bonus if you guys sign up under me. Please also read my full disclaimer below. I am not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. I'm purely sharing my own speculative opinions on this market. I cannot tell you the future, and you should always do your own due diligence before trading or investing in this market, as it's extremely risky and volatile. If you guys have any questions or comments, please only leave them in the comment section below, but I'll get to them a lot faster that way. Now, see what exactly is going on in the markets first. Most importantly, I do like to take a look into Bitcoin dominance. It tells me where the money could be trending into. Would it be Bitcoin or altcoins? Currently on the daily time frame is still what I'm focusing on. Since yesterday, I do see that the price action on Bitcoin dominance has broken below the 50 MA here. That is a good sign if I'm looking to trade altcoins with more confidence, as I've been mentioning. Now, the breakdown of this head and shoulders pattern, the measure target here is going to be about 63.5% in that range. So if the price action continues towards that measure target, I would expect better trading opportunities for altcoins as opposed to if Bitcoin dominance was trending upwards. Of course, when Bitcoin dominance is trending upwards and Bitcoin price action dumps, then I would expect altcoins to take a lot more significant of a hit as opposed to if Bitcoin dominance was trending downwards. Let's take a look into Bitcoin price action now. On Bitcoin price action here, as I mentioned yesterday on the daily time frame, is still what I'm focusing on here as well, which is I do see price action running within a symmetrical triangle pattern. Symmetrical triangle patterns are bullish continuation patterns. 60% chance of it breaking upwards. Verify that stat on your own. The measure target here, as far as I can read it, is about 47K. May or may not be reached. It's only approximate theoretical target. Could also be overreached. The main support here I'm looking at is still the daily 21 MA, which is the blue line right here. If this breaks, then I'm looking at the 12-hour 50 MA, which is pretty parallel with the bottom trend line now. So even if the price action actually breaks this initial trend line, I don't think I would have to invalidate the symmetrical triangle pattern, as the 50 12-hour MA is still pretty parallel with the bottom trend line. Let's take a look into Litecoin now and see what exactly has gone on in this market. Litecoin, as I have mentioned last time, on a very high time frame, on the monthly time frame, there was a possible double bottom pattern that could be playing out right now. The neckline of this pattern, I would say, let's take a look into the weekly time frame. Yeah, let's take a look into the weekly time frame because we have not even gotten weekly candle closes for a little while above this neckline, which is about $138, $140 zone, okay? And since about 2 weeks ago, price action has actually closed on top of this fib level right here, which is about $140 zone, and has stayed on top of this zone for quite some time. So this is good news for the bulls because the price action has flipped this key resistance into support, and let's see if the price action is able to keep it closed on the weekly time frame above this support. Let's take a look into the daily time frame now and see what exactly could be going on. I do want to note that there's going to be possible bearish divergences on the weekly time frame from the last high reading here on the RSI. So something to be looking out for, even if the price action breaks out of this current pattern here, which I will point to in just one sec. On the 3-day time frame, on a lot of these big time frames as well. So something to be looking out for, even if the price action continues higher and breaks out of this bullish pattern, which I would point out right now. I do think it's going to be in a symmetrical triangle pattern. At the very tip, let's see, I got one swing up, one swing down. Yep, this is a validated symmetrical triangle pattern. I do think it's going to break out pretty soon, it looks like, because it is running out of room to run. Let's see if I'll be correct or not on that. If it actually does break out by, let's say, tomorrow, which looks like to be the apex of this symmetrical triangle pattern, then I would have a measured target of about $220, slightly under that, okay? Now, like I said, measured targets are only theory. It could be reached, not reached, or overreached. So I will plan accordingly. There's also going to be some pretty key resistances along the way as well, including the next fib level right here, about $175. And also the next fib level at about $210. So those are going to be the key resistances I'll be looking for. In addition, there's going to be some short-term moving averages that's right above this top trend line, upward trend line of this pattern right here, including the hourly 200, which was the orange line, the 4-hour 50, 6-hour 50, 12-hour 50. So even if it does look like the price action has broken out of this symmetrical triangle pattern in the top trend line, those are still going to be some short-term resistances I'll be looking out for, because possible rejection can come from there. Now let's take a look into the bullish and bearish case scenarios here. Bullish case scenario, very clear if the price action breaks above this top trend line and go towards its measured target. However, like I pointed out, those possible resistances could be rejections even after the price action breaks out of this pattern. That could reject the price action enough for the price action to either go back into the pattern, or even stronger rejection that could push the price downwards. So those are going to be some cautionary signs I'll be looking out for. And of course, these next two fib levels at about $175 and $210 in that range, okay? So that's what I'm looking at for the bullish case scenario. And of course, there's going to be possible bearish divergences on some of these time frames, notably on the daily time frame up to the weekly. So now let's take a look into the bearish case scenario. Bearish case scenario here, if the weekly time frame starts closing below this last fib level right here, about $140, I'll be a little more cautious, because this tells me that the price action is breaking the support and flipping it back into resistance. However, for this week's candle, we only have about 2 more hours left, so I don't think that's going to be done for this week's weekly candle. But I will be looking out for that anyways on a more macro level. And of course, on the second, the next thing is, if the bearish case scenario here, if the price action breaks below this bottom trend line, I may have to invalidate this symmetrical triangle pattern, possibly turning it into a falling wedge pattern of some sort, because the next key level of support here I'm looking at will be the daily 50 MA. So that's what I'm looking at. To reiterate, bullish case scenario, price action actually breaks above this upward trend line, go towards its measured target. Note the possible bearish divergences on the daily time frame up to the weekly. Second, quite a bit of resistances even above the breakout point of this symmetrical triangle pattern. That is the that's the bullish case scenario. Bearish case scenario, number one, if the daily time frame starts breaking below this bottom trend line here, the next level of support I'm looking at will be the 50 MA on the daily time frame. Could possibly be turning this into a falling wedge pattern instead, if that is the case, if the daily candles start closing below this bottom trend line. Ultimately, I do not want to see the weekly candle starts closing back below this $140 level, very key level, which has been the neckline of this huge double bottom pattern here. So breaking back below it would tell me that the price action is breaking back into the pattern and flipping this support back into resistance. That is not good. Let's take a look into Stellar. XLMUSD here, and let's revisit my last post about what I said there on the 6-hour time frame that was most apparent. Because last time I did say that the price action did break out of this falling wedge pattern. Measured target was about 42 cents. Price action is pretty stuck within about the 32-cent level. That is the resistance right now. I did also say that this could be a possible inverse head and shoulders pattern instead, as this would be the left shoulder, the right shoulder, and the head. The resistance here, if that is the pattern that we should be looking at instead of the falling wedge pattern, would be about, let's pull it all the way down here because we have not had any 6-hour candles around the 32-cent area. So if I start seeing 6-hour candles above the 32-cent area, I'll be more inclined to believe that this is actually a breakout of the inverse head and shoulders pattern. In that case, I would have a measured target. Well, roughly about the same, but this time will be about 43 cents, slightly over. Okay, that is what I'm looking at right now. A possible inverse head and shoulders pattern, or a still valid breakout of this falling wedge pattern, but right now it is starting to look more like an inverse head and shoulders pattern right here. So let's see which of these actually play out, but they have very similar theoretical measure targets. May or may not be reached, could also be overreached. I would strategize accordingly. So this is what I'm seeing. If I start seeing 6-hour candle closes above the 32-cent area, I would think this is a breakout of the inverse head and shoulders pattern because we have not had any 6-hour candle closes above the 32-cent area. Okay. Now let's take a look into the bullish and bearish case scenarios here. Bullish case scenario, if the price action starts getting 6-hour candle closes above this 32-cent area, then it would look like a breakout. I will look for volume confirmation and probably a solid close as well, maybe about like 33-cent close. Then that would be a safe signal, I would say. Okay, 6-hour candles at about the 33-cent area, which would be a solid close, in my opinion, above the 32-cent area. Let's take a look into the bearish case scenario. Bearish case scenario here, if price action starts breaking and closing below about 28-cent level, I will have to reevaluate this inverse head and shoulders pattern because this tells me that this right shoulder right here is going to start sagging below the last close here on the left shoulder, which as you guys can see is at about 28 cents, slightly under. So if 6-hour candles start closing below this 28-cent level and even below this left shoulder level, I would have to reevaluate this bullish reversal pattern, and it may not be looking as bullish in the short term anymore. Now, these are my bullish and bearish case scenarios for these markets. Hope you found it helpful. Give me a thumbs up if you did. Let me know your agreements, disagreements, feedback. I would love to hear them. Hope you manage your risk carefully, and if you would like to see any more of my most recently uploaded videos on YouTube, you guys can check out my links up here on YouTube. See you next time.